Okay, so we are live. Welcome everybody to Knowledge and Relationships. This is your boy M3, and I got the lovely wife, Mrs. M3, and I have Rue the Gypsy with
What's
me.
up? Yeah, what's up?
And then we're also gonna have oh, hold on for a second. Hold on. What's going on, real quick? What? Oh, there we go. My bad, y'all. We got it had that double echo because YouTube was playing in the background. But anyways, uh, your boys always be struggle streaming. That's okay though, right? Let me go ahead and I want to play the intro, okay? All right, everybody. Thank you everybody for tuning into knowledge and relationships, crossover with motherhood, sex, marijuana podcast. We got we're gonna have to stand ourselves in real quick.
What's up, y'all? Rue the Gypsy, one half of Motherhood, Sex, Marijuana here in the building with knowledge and relationships.
Woo! All right, we're gonna be having some good juicy hot topics. Thank you, dear. Appreciate that. I want to send a link to the homie Mr. Best so that he can also jump into this conversation as well.
Woo!
Yeah, I know we was doing like a lot of stuff on the spur of the moment type of thing, but hey, that's what we like in this podcast. But let me the guys let me know, right? Because right now I'm streaming from my mobile device. So let me know if everything's good. Want to make sure the sound's good as well too. We got the microphones right on deck.
Right.
So let me know like if the sound quality is good. We got 4 people that's watching. So salutes to everybody that is definitely tuning into that.
Salute, guys.
Yeah. Matter of fact, hold on, let me send this to him right now. Bam. All right. Clear out some of these notifications. All right, so let's see. All right, so look, how's everyone doing tonight?
Hey, it's
good. All right. All right, really, I know, you're good as far as with the questionnaires. And do you want to just start with just the spiciness already? Like what's up?
Well, I think I'm going to ease it in a little bit, but okay. I just want to first express just my gratitude to everybody that's on this live. Thankful for my co-hosts today, representing both podcasts, Knowledge and Relationship, and Motherhood, Sex, Marijuana. I think it's very important to build with people. And I think when you can find people that you can build with, just keep building. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of questions for you guys, but I don't want to overwhelm our audience. Let's just say that. So how about you guys ask me a question and we can get this started?
Okay. All right, we're real, right? Let's start with something easy, right? Okay. So, where you from? You know what I mean? And pretty much what brought you here? You know what I mean? Into this YouTube space.
Okay, that's a really good question. It was around the time of the pandemic, and there was like, I smoke a lot of weed. I have a lot of friends who smoke weed. And during a session, the idea about podcasting came up. And so it was like a spark of like, oh, well, these are the 3 subject matters that I could talk about over and over again. And then it was actually like, it was supposed to be only me on it, right?
Yeah.
But then at that time, I was like, I don't think that that's right. I don't think that it would be as fulfilling if it was just one perspective. So I was like, we need a bunch of women together. I presented the idea to a bunch of women, including my girl Kai Storm, who is my partner and one half of this podcast now. And she just like flew with it. You know, she's an avid promoter. She's a strong Black woman who I already admire. And I kind of have a thing for Black queens. I kind of do.
Okay.
It's called respect, because this matrix does not respect them enough. And I feel like, especially being a Samoan woman, I believe that we were all at once derived from Africa. Although I'm very strong in my roots, I do believe that at the origin, we all came from somewhere. And I also believe that melanin is power. And so one of the messages on Motherhood Sex Marijuana has always been advocating for our Black queens and our Black kings. And raising them, having like that privilege is like, it's something I don't take lightly. And so it's kind of like this whole, like, it was like more like a calling for us to do this. And the connections that we've met, including you guys, have been just like overwhelming, you know, to where it's like, oh, this is why I went through that shit in my relationship. This is why, or excuse me for cursing, I'm sorry. Or this is why I experienced so much stuff. And then another thing is, everyone's like, oh, being a mom is wonderful. It's a blessing. Yeah, it is. Being a parent is a blessing, but it's also hard as hell. And it's also takes a toll on your mental health. It takes a toll on your confidence, be it, you know, the way your body changes, the way that society looks at you. And so I think our reminder is to everybody is, number one, just be yourself. And number two, it's okay that you don't know the answers to everything, right?
Okay.
But, and then even between Kai and I, my co-host on MSM, we're so different. She has different views on how to raise children, on who should be smoking weed. She has different views on sex than I do. And that's good. We don't need to have the same views. And so I don't know, I hope that in a long-winded way describes your question.
No.
Or answers it.
Hold on. I gotta say this, man. I gotta get people their flowers, man. No one, salute to M3 the Don, man. You know what I mean? Salute to the Don. You know what I'm saying? He definitely up in the building. You know what I mean? Holding it down for the team.
Woo.
You know what I mean? And as I always say, I got to give him 3 his flowers, man, because he's the one, you know what I mean, that got everybody started, man. They got the ball rolling for us. So M3 always gonna sit in he always gonna sit in the high chair for real. You know what I mean? You know, secondly, you know, salute to Mrs. M3. You know, good to see you. You know what I mean? And Ruby Doll, man, you are a superstar amongst superstars. You know what I mean? I mean, me and M3, you know, we do what we do. You know, we superstars as well. We get the ball rolling, but when we see other people that, especially you know, just anybody, but especially like when women are speaking from a point of confidence and they're speaking from a point of transparency, and they're not trying to, you know, they're not trying to be eye candy and they're not trying to be none of that. They can just speak their point, and you can feel their energy. You know, as soon as Ruby Doll speaks, you feel her energy. You know, she's being transparent. You know, she's being honest. You know, she's not trying to sell you no bullshit. And she's living, breathing content. And as a content creator, you know, for somebody who's living, breathing content, like, that's a talent amongst its own. That's not something you can buy. That ain't something that you can make up. You either got it or you don't. It's like being a singer or being an actress or being any type of talent. Either you got it or you don't got it. You know what I mean? It's either you, it's in you or you ain't. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. And Ruby Doll is definitely living, breathing content. And I love when she shares her point of view. She could wake up at 3 a.m. and do a podcast. It don't it don't matter the time. She's always ready. Like, she's always ready. You know what I mean? And that's a strong point. Yeah, but you're not rambling. You know what I mean? You say what you need to say, and you stay on point, and you stay on point. People can relate to you, and you talk about things that people actually go through. You know what I mean? We all feel these things. We all go through it, but a lot of people don't know how to say it or are afraid to say it. But you ain't afraid to say shit. You're gonna say it, and it's gonna be what it is. You know what I'm saying? And then lastly, I think it's great that you and Kaya Storm are definitely part of the team, and that y'all doing what y'all do, and that y'all just building and growing, and that y'all continue just to do all the things that y'all doing, from the standpoint that y'all doing it. My question is, what I'm saying, as far as, and I also want to salute you too for just talking about how African culture is spread throughout the world. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about, just being melanated and what that means and the power in that. People try to hide that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that you embrace it. You know what I'm saying? Because when you melanated, man, and you got that melanated soul, like like it shines. You know what I mean? That's a gift. That ain't a curse. They try to make it a curse, but there ain't no curse. You know what I'm saying? So, my thing for you is now that you have been doing your journey for a while and you have been experiencing different things, and from the last time we left off, what are some things that you have grown in, and what are some things that you are experiencing now that you feel can like help yourself and help others?
I love that you asked that question, and thank you for all those kind things. You ain't never lied, so you're right. But it's like very recently, the topic of sex addiction came up into my life again. And so for those that know me personally, I'm very sexually liberated. However, I had to question myself as to whether my liberation was out of like trauma or if I was just responding to that trauma, right? And as somebody who was introduced to a sexual feeling at a very young age, before you even know how to process it or even know what it is, I feel like a lot of the relationships where I was like messing up the most in terms of not putting myself first was because I was like, oh, I can give you this sex. I can provide you this service, where I was putting my value on that. So having had a life experience, AKA the disbandment of my family, I had to really sit down with myself and say, okay, what are these feelings? Like, what are you experiencing and why are you behaving these ways? And what I realized is that I have so much more to offer than sexual favors for people. You feel me? And I think that that's important to share because I don't know, I imagine someone else feels that same way, might feel that same way now. But I think that's just the most honest that I've been with myself. And as I'm journeying through this, like this mom life that happens to be a single mom, right? I am just like, okay, how do I pour into myself and how do I not bullshit myself? You know what I'm saying? So when those lonely times come, where I'm like, oh, it would be really nice to have a partner. It would be really nice to even text somebody other than business, right? It's like, okay, well, why don't you just find like the magic in your circumstances now? Okay. So again, long-winded explanation, but I think I've just realized like what I have to offer and what I have to bring to the table, because for me, it just like gives me so much pride. Right. You feel me? And that way I can give it to how I want. I'm not just giving it to everybody.
Yeah. Sometimes I think like we get conditioned into thinking like this is all what we could do. Right. Matter of fact, you guys can hear us well, like with the microphones. We do have new mics.
Yeah, you're great. You're great. You're great, bro. You're good.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think that we get caught up in like allowing people to determine like our value, our worth, and so when we get caught up into it, then we pretty much play into like the system, the mental system. So we get caught up in trying to please other people because we're seeking for the validation that will confirm that we're doing okay. And if those people are not confirming that we're doing okay, then it's like we're going to crumble because we don't really know ourselves. How good are we? We don't know our worth. We never look at ourselves that we're good enough as a people, and that's where we get caught up in. You know what I mean? And, oh, thank you. He says yes, clear. Appreciate that.
Awesome.
Right?
Thank you.
Horn says the sound is not optimal on the guy in the middle. Okay, well, I'll definitely have to. Yeah, well, I'll definitely have to fix that. But thank you for expressing that.
I can hear you, bro. It's just that it's three of y'all. So like the sound is clear. It's just that it's gonna have a little bit of muffle, but it's cool. Like y'all don't sound bad. You know what I mean? Not at all. Y'all don't sound bad. I'm gonna say this too. I think what you're speaking to is also how trauma affects us. Like how trauma affects us from a young age. And when that trauma hits us, we try to find things to cope with. And some people find different ways to cope. Like some people run to drugs, some people run to alcohol, some people run relationships, some people run the sex, some people run the money, some people run a career, some people run to school and education, right? So we all find coping ways because when your foundation is off and one of your parents is not there, or if your siblings are acting up, or you've been abused, or any of these things happen to you in your early development, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna affect how you become an adult, and it's not gonna just go away. And then when people say insensitive things like, "Oh, just get over it," or "Oh, it's not that bad," it's like that's the worst thing you can say to somebody. Like, no, ain't nobody. I'm like, don't nobody need to get over nothing. Like, this is something that affects me, and I have my good days and I have my bad days. Am I trying to get help? Yes, but I have my good days and my bad days, and that's because of the trauma that we experience. That trauma thing is real, yo. And what that trauma does is that it makes us seek love in ways that are not healthy at times because of the lack of love that our foundation was given to us, And salute to our parents and our grandparents and the older folks. They tried, they tried the best they could, or sometimes they didn't try. Sometimes they didn't know. Sometimes they were too young to try. Sometimes they were immature. Sometimes they were selfish, right? There's a number of reasons of why things happen. But we're here now, and now we got to deal with the after effects of what somebody else should have done in our development. You know what I mean? So it's a real thing. So salute to you, Ruby, for being honest about that. Because that is a real thing that we go through. Trying to find love and using other things to find love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and in the same sense, I'm not like fully cured. I'm not like on the the poster child of being cured from all sexual trauma. No, not at all. It's like it's a daily thing for me, just like someone living with depression, anxiety. You have to kind of have to take an inventory so that you know where you're working with. Like, I'm very in touch with my dark side. I have a question about you guys, towards you guys. You mentioned like going through like couples therapy while you were like dating, right? So is there something in couples therapy where you guys were like, we could have figured this out on our own?
I want to let you answer that because I know you haven't got a chance to talk for a minute.
For me, with couples therapy, when we were dating, decided it was more engagement, right? So we had already decided we were going to be married, and they were walking us through things. I think that there are things that you learn about each other more swiftly through counseling that eventually you might have found out about each other down the road, but because older people and mature couples that have been married for a while can see things that you can't, they present things, but sometimes they're harsh in how they present them. And then you only learn like maybe 5 years, 10 years down the road, like, okay, I see some of the things that they were talking about at the beginning. It's not a deal breaker, but I still didn't get it the way that they wanted us to get it when they said it. You have to experience life.
Right.
But once they've shared it with you, it's not like you're looking for it. It's kind of like, okay, they said that, we get it, kind of. But then when you live it and you're like, oh, that's what they meant. Like, okay, is this a deal breaker though? or are we gonna be all right?
So it's more of a
that you have to
tool.
decide as a couple. They can't. No one in your counseling, even if you're, paying for the counselor or they're giving you free advice, no one is going to be able to make that decision for you. You have to make it for yourself.
Okay. So it's more like
Ruby,
your
dog,
willingness.
may I say something real quick, Ruby? Just to piggyback off of that, of what she said, because what she said was, hey, that's that is truth to the full. All right. And I know a lot of time married couples don't keep it real with y'all. All right, we know that, okay? But we keeping it real with y'all right now. Like, look, it's like if you play a sport. It's a difference when you play in college and when you go to the pros. It's different. It ain't the same. Okay? Everything changes. And you change. Okay? You change as a person. Because now it's a different level. Now there's more on the line. Now this is my life. When I'm dating you and we boyfriend and girlfriend, we can break up any time and I can move on. But now we're committed. Now we say that we're committed, due to God or whatever deity we believe in. So it's a lot of stake. And then on top of that, let's say we add kids to the mix. That's even more crazy. I don't know how that feels. You know what I mean? If you add kids to the mix, that's a whole different scenario. I've heard different stories, and yeah, not that I'm scared, but I'm just unaware. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what she's saying primarily is, when you're going through these things, nobody can really just, people could tell you it, right? And when they tell you these things, they're not. A lot of times we may, as we're young or we're just, we're just trying to, we really feel for the person that we with. We maybe cannot see it, but in marriage, man, it is a roller coaster. You are gonna go through things because nobody prepares you for the time when you lose your career. Nobody prepares you for the time where you're going through a depressing time because of whatever's going on. Whether you lost a family member, or you know what I mean, or you lost a close friend. Or you just depressed because you're just trying to figure out life and you didn't expect things to be this way. Or you may have lost a child. I mean, a lot of things can happen. You know what I mean? One of y'all can have a habit that the other one didn't know about. You know what I'm saying? And then with intimacy, sometimes you may think the intimacy should be one way. Your partner wants something else. And you're like, man, what the hell wrong with this person? That ain't normal, but it's normal for them. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have different things that's going to happen. You know what I mean? And then also, nobody tells you about the other temptations when it comes to being tempted by somebody else, or being tempted by money, or being tempted to keep up with other people, or being tempted to try to live a facade. A lot of married couples live a facade, man, because your reputation is on the line when you marry. It's a difference. If you fail in marriage, you get a divorce. People look down on you. They look down on you and they talk about you. We all know this. You know what I mean? Whether you have kids or not. If you don't make it in marriage and you get a divorce, no matter how the divorce is, people look down on you. You know what I mean? They make fun of you. You know what I mean? Is it wrong for people to do that? Yes, it's wrong for people to do that. But that's what happens.
But they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. I'm gonna add on to that too, Mr. Best. So personally, like, and I know that feeling because, like, sometimes, like, as a married couple, right, especially Black married couples, there's a lot of people, especially like who are single, they can also place a lot of high expectations, a lot of high hopes because they're looking for a foundation for themselves. They see like an idea of a so-called perfect marriage, but no marriage is ever perfect.
Of course not.
No marriage is ever like just joyful and happy. But you may find some marriages where they may have more highs than the lows, or you may find some marriages that has the lows more than they have the highs. But the problem is that, like, we probably tend to get caught up in like, well, look, I don't want to let this person down because there's already a lot of people talking about don't get married to this, don't get married to that. And for the ones like who are not married and you're still preaching that type of stuff, I'm like, look, until you actually been in that person's shoes, until like you actually had a ring on your finger, you shouldn't tell anyone not to get married at all, period. A lot of people go through this rhetoric, right, of people telling this because, like, YouTube, I mean, if you get a lot of subscribers, it could be like a lucrative, like, type of thing, especially when you're playing the hurts of other people who probably is struggling with relationships. So instead of teaching them how to kind of cope and get along with certain women, you're just teaching them that, that you shouldn't really have a need for a woman. And that's the same thing for women teaching men. Teaching women that, oh, you don't need a man, right? You could do all better by yourself. But honestly, that's where it's like, you pretty much set yourself up to like fail, put yourself further like in debt, because while someone is out there, and I'm not just saying like, marry somebody for money, but at the same time, it's like, you don't know what blessing that you're missing out of because you're too afraid to actually take that chance, to take that risk and open your heart. Like, everybody been hurt before, and I could tell people, look, get over it and like try to move on. And some people, they're gonna have a hard time moving on, and they do have a legit reason of it. But what I'm saying is that, like, for people like us, like who's already married, like, we can't be the ones to like, fulfill like, like your happiness.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be happy within like yourself.
Yes.
But it doesn't hurt to like, get advice or whatever, to try to find people who could kind of tell you something, and you could probably learn from other married couples' mistakes. But at the same time, ultimately, the choice is yours. And I think people, they can easily get themselves let down, and the married couples could easily be disappointed, because now it's like, well, dang, people looked at us like we're a power couple. We mess up. We're going through stuff in our relationship where it'd be like separation, divorce, or whatever. Now we're hurting someone else. And that's not even intentional. It's just that expectations are just placed, and you can't really control how people feel or how they view marriage. But the only thing you could do is just kind of help give a truthful guide and just let them know, like, hey, is this something that you really want to get into?
Key point right there. You know what? And I've said this before. I've had to question myself on why I want things. So for me right now, especially because I have the luxury of, I say luxury, but I have the luxury of being very selective right now. I don't have to, I'm not in a arranged marriage. I don't have any pressures from my pastor to marry somebody, right? My parents ain't trying to marry me off. So like, for me, it's like, if I do decide on that, what does that look like for me? And as Mr. Best said, yeah, you might, I think marriage is also like a communal thing because it affects the community, right? When you join, like you're merging businesses together, you're not only strengthening that bond, you're strengthening a financial base. Oh, it's okay, Queen. Thank you so much. You're strengthening that financial base with each other. And I think, thank you. I think those are good things to look at. But I really want to communicate to the person out there or persons out there who is single and is just trying to figure out things for themselves. And I think that by doing that, we also consider these other perspectives. And then you all listening you can come to terms with what makes sense for you, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Does that, okay. Because I think that's the humane thing. Marriage is not for everybody. Single life is not for everybody. It's for those that want that. And whatever you want, you have to know why you want it. I hope that's
human connection. Human connection is for everyone. I would say that. Like the way you connect with human beings, that's a necessity. Now, how you decide to do that is different. Like, I can't tell anybody what's the perfect way to have human connection because I don't know. Right. You know what I mean? Right. I'm not in everybody's shoes. I don't have everybody's experiences. I don't have everybody's desires. I don't know or needs or wants. And I don't. It's not the fact that and I understand what M3 is saying about marriage standards being too high. I don't think the standards are too high. I just think that people set unrealistic standards. Like they're not realistic. You know what I mean?
To themselves.
And then to themselves, to their partner, and then to other people. And then the worst thing you could do in your marriage is to start trying to live up to other people's standards. Like, nah, they not living in your house. Okay, it's you and your spouse. It don't matter what they think. Okay, they don't live with you. You know what I'm saying? If they don't live with you, they don't. It doesn't matter what they think because they don't live there. Right. You know what I'm saying? You got to live together, not them. You know what I mean? They going home to something else and someone else or something else, right? You got to stay here. So what's going to be comfortable for you and y'all? That's what's going to matter.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, lastly, I I think also like within relationships, right? You know, we got to understand that other person that we with is a human being.
Right.
It's a human being, right?
Everything.
So you forget that, yeah, okay, she may look good or he may look good, but yo, they a human being. Like they have their own thing going on. Okay, sometimes they don't want to be around you. Sometimes they don't want to be around themselves. Sometimes they don't want to be around their family. Sometimes they want to be around you all the time. They're a human being. You're a human being. You got feelings and emotions. You don't always want to do something. You don't always want to be around something or even around yourself. Like just you gotta treat that person like they're another human being that has a same life that you have, and that they have their own set of issues, and you got to respect that. But the thing that happens is that we start making this person kind of like a god figure, where we think that they're gonna be the end all and be all to everything, and it's like nah. My lady just had a loss, in a family, right? That's affecting her in the ways that she needs to be affecting. She got to process her own grief, right? Now I can't now be like, well, now you're supposed to be my wife, and because you're my wife, now you got to just do all the wifely things, and you're supposed to just not feel and just do what I tell you to do. Like, no, she's a human being. You know what I mean? She's a human being going through an experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and we have to understand that. Let your spouse, see your spouse as a human being. Yes, you love them, you care about them, they're your spouse, but you gotta let them be a human being, man, and you gotta respect them as a human being. But we don't do that, and then because of that, that person gets frustrated because you put all these demands on them, and they're like, "Yo, like, calm down, like, you not even able. I don't even do that with you. Like, you're not even able to fit all those things." So we just gotta be realistic.
Thank you. I don't know, and he touched on it when he touched on it when he said, Mr. Best said, when he said that we tend to put people like as if they're supposed to say be our savior and everything. When I was in a relationship, when I was married, I had and things weren't working out. He was seeing other people. I was seeing other people. I realized that I was treating my side pieces better than my husband.
Oh.
And I had to check myself, like, that seems kind of fake, but I was giving myself excuses because I was like, well, he's pissing me off right now. He's cheating on me and he's doing this and he's doing that. When it's like the guy that you're messing with cheating on his wife and he's doing this and he's doing that. Why are you treating this? And I really asked myself, why are you treating this stranger essentially work better than your husband? Right? So I think that that's also like, if you're in a situation where you're trying to figure things out and y'all just like doing shit out of spite, I would just say, please save yourself, because I did it and it just brought me more and more grief.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I had to convert myself into saying, you know what? I'm polyamorous. I had to put it out there because I was tired of being a liar,
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I love how you said we have to look at our partners like humans. Like, dude, I'm very nice to like my family and friends. I should also be nice to my partner, right?
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean,
you're welcome, family.
Right? Yeah, here's the thing. Like, and this is where Mr. Best is right on, right? Like, once you kind of get into certain relationships, like let's say from friendship to dating relationships, engagement, and then to marriage, right? And then having like kids. Like, we don't stay the same. Like, our lifestyles is different.
Sure.
But the thing that we do miss, right, out on being in a relationship is like, how did we get here in the first place? And that start off with the friendship. And so, anybody who's watching this, right, I want to leave you guys something like this, though. Although your lifestyle has changed and your mindset will change along the way as you get into serious committed relationships and starting families, I also want to make sure you guys also don't forget about the fundamental reason of why you fell in love with that person to begin with. Because I think when you lose the friendship aspect and you don't really find a way to hold on to it or still keep it livid while you're still in the transitional stage, that's where you guys really lose yourself. You know what I mean? Keep that base. You know what I mean? Still do the things that you're doing, and it's okay of being different, but never let go of the base and the reasoning why you love the person in the first place.
This is what I think. It happens kind of subtly, but we lose ourselves in the titles. Like, okay, first you're a fiance, then you're a wife, then you're a mom. Some individuals were not parents, but then you're a mom, and then the kids kind of take priority, and then the ebbs and flows of life. They get older, and then that title is still there, but they don't need you the same,
right?
Because now they're teenagers, or now they're 20s somethings, and now
they're changing too. Their needs are changing,
and couples forget that before there were titles, they were individuals, and they had hobbies, they had likes, and those things over the years might have changed, and then they forget, like, who am I without all the titles? Who am I? Like, what's my purpose? And I have coworker friends whose kids went off to college, and they like broke, like they like had to take time off. They couldn't function. Like, they have a spouse, but the house is empty. There's no one that calls them mom around the house. They'll call from the phone, but they don't need them the same if they're off to college.
Gotcha.
And they really had to sit with that and be like, who am I now?
That sounds hella depressing, and but it's true. It's a real thing. Like, it's so real. They lose their identity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they have to find themselves again and find the things that they're interested in again.
Yeah.
And really, like, I think a lot of the time in relationships that I see, like the families that I see, even if it's just a husband and wife, sometimes you can lose your identity in what you're trying to be to your significant other. And that can be hard because it can go for years before you realize, like, where am I? Who am I now?
If some tragedy doesn't happen, that forces you to figure it out.
Outside of this, like, someone recently, we were spending time with a couple of men said, so what do you do for you? And I was like, oh, I have a lot of things I do. Wait, what do you mean? I had to think about it. Wait, what do you mean? Like, just for you, just for yourself, not Kashim the wife, not Kashim the teacher, not, you know. And I was like, oh, you know, I have a lot of things that I'm interested in, but I don't really take the time to do everything that I used to do, like sewing, or, you know, I like to swim, I swim. But there's a lot of things. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, there's maybe a handful of things that I still do that, you know, I need to get back to doing some stuff, you know. I was like, okay,
for your own sake.
When you feel stressed out, you have to remember the things that you like, you know. On the podcast, and this isn't free, but that's so you know, you just things you like doing, things that you know.
So it makes you passion, fuels you.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there's moments where you feel like, man, you're getting on each other's nerves. Sometimes that could be because they're so in your space, but the aggravation is they want to be in their space. Like, just give me a minute to breathe, to think, to do. He's like, I'm going to the, you know, podcast tech, gotta do. And I'm like, hey, okay, do your thing. You know, we're over here, and we know each other are existing, and we're doing our thing. And then we come back together, we spend time, and it's all cuddles and everything. It's not like, get out of my space, leave me alone, I'm tired of you. Like, because we give each other that space to be individuals, you know. Good. Like, there's stuff, you know, that you have to do that's not just couple stuff.
Absolutely. Because going back to what you said, that's what you loved about said individual. That's what she loved about you. So I have a somewhat personal question. You can tell me to go to hell, but I understand that you guys are so disciplined that you did not have, or you chose to live a path with your deity. I'm going to keep it broad because we don't all call it the same, right? So you guys have you guys have respect for deity. You've made it part of your relationship, right? So I think that the psychology, besides all the spiritual, religious stuff behind it, there's a psychology to when you have like a common goal with somebody, right? Like, for instance, me and Kai, she's not my wife, but me and her, we got this baby, this podcast, and it keeps us straight, right?
Right.
So for you guys, that's your deity. And then did you guys choose to have sexual relations before your marriage?
No.
See, good. We're gonna keep it at that. I'm not gonna go any further. I've always been curious for couples who save themselves versus couples who didn't. So if anybody's on the live and you have an experience where you saved yourself and you did it because it gave you a specific result, can you share that? And then I guess my question, I just wanted to make that clear. Mm-hmm. Now, I've never been in a position like that. I've never saved myself for anybody because I didn't feel like that was that important to me, right? Mm-hmm. However, I noticed that, okay, like I'm a daddy's girl. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that I really do want a man like my dad. I just don't trust anybody to be like my dad.
Okay.
And I feel like until I get that, I don't need to do so. Like, am I tripping for being like that? Am I like basing it off? This is a loaded question, okay?
No, I won't say that you're tripping. Mm-hmm. It's just that, like, well, I will ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Is that like, okay, why are you looking for men that can resemble like your dad? Uh-huh. You know, but then also too, I would kind of like, you know, ask like other questions like, you know, like, do you know that, you know, I mean, everyone is different, right? So it's like, what would be the odds of someone being like your dad? Maybe they might have certain characteristics, right, that you're looking for that's a part of your dad. Right. But if you're looking for that person to be 100% like your dad, you know. Yeah.
So, and then we had, this is a continuation from our last conversation, okay? I'll bring you guys up to speed, but I had told M3 and Mr. Best on another podcast that I had like a little crush on somebody. He has a lot of like my dad's characteristics, like hardworking, family, and shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, he's also really like straight and narrow. And he told me that he doesn't have sex. He will not have sex with somebody until he marries that person.
Okay.
So for me, that's why I was so interested in your story, because I was like, did you regret that? Or did it strengthen you? Because I don't know if I could do that. But if that person got what I wanted, I could probably wait. I could probably.
And here's the thing. I mean, people wait for different reasons. And I mean, I know we say you're saving yourself for something, but it's not necessarily couples that get married are not always just they've never had sex before. It's
right.
Each other,
right.
And that can happen to be either a good thing for some people or not necessarily.
Right.
That has to be a personal choice again with the individual and even the couples involved with each other. Your partner can't even make that choice for you. Like if they're coercing you, that's not consensual. No. You know what I mean?
And the reason why I'm so interested in it is because I never considered this. Yeah. But I never had any sustainable relationship. So was I doing something? Is this something I should, consider? You know?
Yeah.
But then the real person that I know, Rue, is going to be like, what if the sex is bad?
But it's pros and cons in both. It's pros and cons in both. Like I would say, like, and it's. I mean, I'm just saying this is based on things that like I've experienced and I've gone through and what others have gone through. If I'm ever blessed to like really have children, I would say like I would want them to save themselves, and it wouldn't matter if it was a boy, if I had a daughter or a son. I would want them to save themselves for marriage. But I also would want them to live with their partner first. I know that sounds completely weird, but
that's what I mean.
It's like it's just certain things that you ain't gonna experience with that person until you live with them. Like just certain things you're not gonna really know. Like, and I don't want them like to be like blindsided. So it'll be kind of a battle for me. Like, of course I wouldn't want them to make life decisions without being married first, right? But I would feel like, man, they should kind of if not live with each other, maybe, I don't know, spend a couple of weekends together. I don't know, but kind of just see how each other flows, like, because you don't really know how a person is till you live with them. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And you know what? Again, it could be a personal thing. It really is up to you and whoever you're having intercourse with, whoever you're in a relationship with. But these are just questions that I've questioned myself, because it's like, if I want a man who thinks like my dad, which this guy does, I should respect his wishes, right? So I don't pull up on him or nothing. I'm just like, whatever. I kind of feel like we've changed roles in a way, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, okay, I don't want to be a shallow girl anyway. I don't want to be like, oh, well, you know, but I can't help but feel that way. Now, it's a possibility for me to just fall in love with this person, and we could just learn from each other eventually. If you don't know how to do things, I could probably teach you. But then again, it's like, I'm 40 years old. Do I want that? Am I chasing an illusion? Am I like, oh my gosh, am I falling into that category of storytell when it's like, okay, girl, you know, this is who you are. You can't go back to, you know, withholding when you're all about the free love anyways. Right. It's very conflicting right now for me. And that's why I'm being honest about that.
Right. Let me get to the comments real quick.
Okay.
From Lighter Horn, right? That person says, like, I think my parents' generation generally had serious faults in their ways of doing things. You know, and my response was that, you know, to be safe, like, for most, like, you know, our parents have faults, but they did the best they can for us to provide, like, good care, you know. I can't say that for all. That's why I said for most, right? That love their children. And then my cousin says that, yes, you have to experience, like, the good and the bad as well too. And let me just say this though, you know, like Mr. Ben said, they're all, like, you know, pros like to like cons like to it, right? Because it's like, well, what do you really want out of, like, your journey, like your life into the relationship? And you know, we had some off the stream conversations. And there was, like, a book that I was reading, and of course it was like a spiritual book or whatever. So they're going to have their own personalized spiritual perspective on things. And it was talk about sex or whatever. Like, well, the experience that couples had where they had a friendship, or they had some type of relationship that was going well, but then as soon as, like, they got in the bedroom, you know, before marriage, then everything just kind of fell apart, and then it would just wear out, and then the relationship was never, like, the same again. And the thing is, like, of course, back then I was more religious than ever. So me reading the book, I took it as face value, like, man, if I have sex with my wife or whatever, well, you know, at the time, my girlfriend, like, this is gonna ruin our relationship. You know, I mean, plus, you know, when you're in the church or whatever, you do try to honor something or whatever, because, like, you're trying to honor, like, a relationship with God. So that's the commitment that you make or whatever. But people that you don't really see valuable, they're like, hey man, you want something? Yeah, let me go get it, you know?
Okay.
Like, you know, bang bang or whatever. But the point that I'm just trying to make is that, like, it really now these days depends, because, you know, over time people evolve, things evolve. And so from what I read from back then, it's still applicable, you know, to today's modern world. You know what I mean? Because right now, people, they don't really see the value into Christian relationships or relationships that's considered spiritual. So because they don't see that type of value, you know, would it really hurt if they had sex before marriage? And the thing is, you also have to keep in mind too, look, and I want to probably just say this from my own understanding, and I'm open to be wrong with certain things. Now, you know, my views on marriage right now these days is not about going through the court system, signing papers, and having the government step involved and take half your belongings because they get a cut at it. You know, I believe in, like, the type of relationships where two people actually make that commitment to be together forever, for a lifetime. You know, Now, of course, I know people will still quote like, well, you know, men have multiple women in the biblical days, and I get that, but it was more high value men like the kings, the chiefs, or whatever. They had that pull. I'm talking about just regular people like you and I, and you know, my wife and whoever else, you know, that's living on a day to day, not doing like the weird stuff, you know, Hollywood stuff. So when we're trying to like, you know, actually live that type of life, you know, people will most likely suggest that, well, I wouldn't be committed to someone if the sex is trash, or if I'm living with someone and now this person is a lot different as opposed to me not living with them. So it is a good, it's a good and bad and whatever. It's a give and take. I meant to say, and it's just like, hey, you just have to do the best that you can to have a good sound judgment to it.
Absolutely.
The key is commitment. I think whether you marry in front of, you know, a church, a judge, a minister, or you are state of, you know, whatever state common law, either way, the key is commitment. You know, because just like you can walk away from, you know, a relationship where you're not married people split all the time and just don't sign papers. That happens too. You know, they're married but not just on paper, not in real life. Right. So the honest truth is the word commitment has to be an action. And when that's an action, regardless of paper or not, those two people are connected. Right. And there's nothing that can separate them. Nothing.
And is that as long as they decide to be there?
To be the couple.
Right. Yep. And then whatever truths they decide are truth for them is what they'll carry out. So I think I'm just kind of like being open, you know, to things. It's just like somebody who is kind of curious in some ways. I'm kind of curious with more modesty versus what I've been used to. And I'm not doing it for any God either. Please don't get me wrong. Like, I believe in deity, but I'm not even doing it for that. I'm doing it for my own self-respect. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that I wouldn't respect myself, but it's like, where has this gotten me? Right? Any other questions out there?
Yeah. Well, let's see. We got a comment from my cousin. He says, like, loving this convo. I'm gonna have to start tuning in more.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. You know.
Yes.
I'm saying, like, look, people that don't tune in often, like, you guys are missing out on a lot of golden gems. You know what I mean? Like, I know we're conversating on the late night, but look, I'm telling you, you know, this is the purpose of like having like a team, you know, networking with people. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's go start sharing some good stuff that was going on, right?
Yeah.
So look, I'm gonna say a fun fact, right? Okay, me and Mr. Best, right? But having the live talks was like the best thing to ever happen for us, right? And I just want to make sure we're still connected, because I see we're a little choppy. Wait, Mr. Best, are we still good? I just want to make sure we're good.
Say it again. Say it again.
You just say this can you hear us well? I just want to make sure I do a struggle stream. Okay,
I can hear you.
All right, cool. All right, thank you. So look,
you're welcome.
The live talks was like the best thing, man. We came up with live talks together. I think it was like 2 years ago, like during the summer, or the summer break, I believe. And I was like, yo, man, like, you know, we start doing these interviews, man, it's gonna be on and popping. And oh, thank you, cuz. Okay, he says that yes, so we're good. All right, cool, thank you. I'm glad that we're doing your end. But but because like we start like, you know, having like the live talks like with different folks, we start learning more about their personalities. Like, you know, we start learning more about ourselves, like the things that we need to grow, you know, as a team, just as much as the individual that joins with us. And so the point I'm just making is that, like, okay, like having these live talks with you and Kai Stone was like the best thing ever, right? Because then, you know, you know, it led to like, you know, us like traveling out to see, like, you know, you mind if I say Oregon, whatever?
Oh yeah,
okay.
we in Oregon.
Yeah. So you know, traveling out to like Portland, Oregon, and then find out there. I mean, like I'm enjoying it, and meeting Rue like in person. Like this is the first ever person that we did a live talk with that we actually made an effort to go out there. Yeah. Like I have never really went out there to travel to see like any folks that we did like interviews, and then there's some people that actually still live even more close to the proximity, right? But hey, you know, sometimes you know, fate happens, and it's because like it's the energy that you bring out. It's the energy that you and Kai Storm bring out. And one of these days, I might fly out there to an area like to like New York, right?
Hell yeah.
But the point is that like, you know, sometimes connections are built right because there's a sense of vulnerability, some openness, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you got to take that chance to really build and vibe because you never know who you can really connect with. Right. But the sad part is everyone is so guarded because no one doesn't want to get hurt.
Right.
And it's like, you know, we should talk about what icebreakers, right? Mm-hmm. Can we develop? Can we teach people what to say when you're meeting a stranger? Because look, people want to talk. People are social creatures, right? Mm-hmm. But everyone want to play this introverted type of game. Mm-hmm. You know, and maybe you have some people that are very
introverted by nature.
Yes. Yeah, you know. Yeah. And my cousin says like you sound very like authentic, right? See, authenticity.
Oh, thank you.
That's a key one right there, and definitely 100 cuz 100 indeed, bro.
Get it, cuz.
Yeah. And actually, that's my real cousin too, though. So just to let you guys know, I'm not just saying cuz just to be saying cuz, right? You know, but the thing is that like it's the authenticity, but how do we bring it out right where we're confident enough to be us? Because I think we're so afraid to be judged. We're making it as a big thing. And that's why we get into these YouTube spaces. We rant, we complain, but then we try to present ourselves like we're like the cool guys. You know what I mean?
I think part of authenticity is not to be afraid to express ourselves. Kindness matters. Like, you know, you can say, how are you? How's your day? You might not get a reply. You might say a compliment to, oh, that's a nice purple shirt. You might get a smile, you know, just to start, you know. And then too, like, don't be afraid to have conflict. Conflict is a part of relationships. And if you're never in conflict, you're only giving a person a part of you, not the whole you, right? You're going to have conflicts. Conflicts are not the end of the world, and it's not the end of relationships. Like, that's one thing that, like, even like when we were first like married couple, it was like, is it the end? Is this what over looks like? You know, kind of like the fear of
making it work,
failure.
Oh, the fear of failure.
Yeah, but you have to learn, just fight fair. You know, you meet someone, there's happy, there's moments. If there's a connection, there can be a relationship. And if there's a relationship, eventually there's going to be conflict. But don't be afraid of the conflict. Just fight fair.
That's great advice. For me, like Ruby, I would say I have my heart broken. So, you know, when I ended up living in my car in LA, of all places, right? I think it was a blessing in disguise because there's beaches in LA. So me and my little family lived in our car. I couldn't go to my mom. I couldn't ask my sister or my brother at the time because it wasn't cool like that at the time. So I think part of me was falling on my ass, feeling like I really had no one but me to answer to. But before I got to that moment where I broke, I was still fronting. Everything was a front. I'd sit like, oh, hi. I think fronting mofos are the most dangerous. Like, you might as well be a serial killer. If you're going to be fronting all the time, like, just like this queen said, there's no conflict. You're just going to be nice all the time. What if you have a bad day and you're going to, what then? You've been building all this pressure, and all of a sudden you like going off at the person at the liquor store. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, so I think like really like getting moted, having life like really spit me out and realize, dang, I need to grab my own right here and I need to stand up. And so I think that's why that really like, it really broke me, right? So now it's like, because I can lie to M3, I can lie to Mrs. M3 all day. I can lie to you guys all day. But me, I'm not gonna lie here. You know what I'm saying? Because when it's lonely at 2:00 in the morning and I'm holding myself, that's when I gotta keep it real. So what the fuck do I care about what you guys think about me?
Yeah. I recently heard, I think it was something about Elon Musk, but anyways, he wasn't the topic. The topic was genius, and the fact that most geniuses have overcome the fear of looking stupid.
Right.
And
you have to.
You know what I mean? Like you have to be willing to get egg on your face, you know, in order to venture out. Like you won't find success if you keep your ship at the shore. You have to venture out. And if you venture out and you hit, you know, the iceberg and you have to, you know, abandon ship and start over, that's what life is about, you know? That's life, you know? You choose, you sink or swim, you go. Just try it, see what happens.
No one can take a dump for you. You got to go take that. You got to go use the bathroom yourself. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's a good analogy.
Yeah. No one can see the dump for you. You gotta use it yourself.
On a shirt.
Wow. Okay.
I'll let y'all have that one. Okay.
We gotta copyright that. Definitely for sure. Well, you know, look, it's already midnight. I know you guys, you know, you gotta get ready for work and all that.
Well, hey, it's been a lovely conversation. I could speak to you guys forever, but if you guys have any questions for maybe a next episode, we'd be happy to address those.
You had something you were tapping on a table.
I just want to share with you all these amazing. I'm sorry to turn this into.
I'm gonna zoom in real quick.
Thank you so much. This right here are motherhood sex marijuana rolling papers that comes with a handy rolling tray. We got rice papers going on for that slow burn, and we've got the filters there. So motherhood sex marijuana, get yourself one. Hey.
Yeah.
I just gotta share. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're welcome. We appreciate you for coming on the podcast. We appreciate that. Yes, we always have a good time when we're here. She shows us all the good stuff, all the good sides. If you're sorry.
No.
Oh, okay. If you're new to Knowledge and Relationships, our podcast is a communal space where we share, where we get insight, and we are open to hearing from those around us and in the community as well. So Rue has her, can you show them your shirt?
Oh, absolutely.
Her, YouTube channel as well. They have their podcast, so please tune into their channel as well.
Thank you.
We appreciate y'all. And Mr. M3, let's hear from
you. You gotta tell them how we got on the stage. We rocked the stage last night too, dude.
So yeah, definitely, like, you know, look, you know, we're gonna have like, you know, some good videos that's gonna be coming out soon. Okay, so if you guys have not checked out, right, you know, Oregon Trails to Portland, definitely check it out. Right, it's under the travel and relationships tab. Right, you know, we have different playlists, you know, on our YouTube channel, but that should be like one of like the latest videos that I did upload, right, not too long ago. So stay tuned for a part 2, okay? For you know, our travels, like, you know, in Portland, Oregon. But you know, this one, man, it's gonna be loaded with content. Look, if the content gets too long, it might be like maybe part 1 or part 2 or something. But I'm saying, like, we had a blast though.
We had fun.
Yeah, just especially have like, you know, like just freestyling, going to open mics, to, you know, shooting like, you know, other videos. I can't give away too much like details, but look, stay tuned. Because Miss Ruby, she is definitely a musician. She gets down like on the stage, like rapping and all that. So yeah, man. But anyways,
Ruby, here in Portland and you have an empty tummy, you come to Poshine or #loaded, and they will feed your guts. No, not loaded like the with the papers, but loaded with food. So there's 2 spots that you should definitely check out.
Get your soul food on.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So look, thank you everybody for tuning in. Like, Marquise, salutes to you, cousin. Like, thank you for tuning in as well too. He says like real conversation is therapeutic. So definitely, and that's what it's all about, having more of these like therapeutic type of conversations with the family.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, just stay tuned, man, for more content. Right now,
I love you, Mr. Best. Love you, bro.
And shout outs, like, too bad he left, but I know he has to take care of some things, and I know it's getting late on the end anyways, but shout outs to Mr. Best in the world, the best network manager, the best friend, the best man that holds it down, man. I want to say this one story real quick about Mr. Best. Mr. Best actually saved the live stream at one point.
Yeah, you said
it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, okay, like imagine like Shaq and Kobe or whatever, right? Like I don't know, like Steph Curry and what's the name? Klay Thompson. It was like one of those type of moments. And I fell asleep. Okay, so I was supposed to be on the EazilyRigged podcast, but at the time, like, they were streaming so late on the platform, it was like maybe 11 o'clock, 11:30. So I fell asleep. I woke up. I was like, okay, what happened to the live stream? Live stream was gone. Trying to figure out, okay, what happened? Now, I went to the StreamYard. The archives was deleted, right? At least for that particular, podcast or for that episode. And then the only thing that was left before I discovered, I had to delete that right away off of Rumble, unfortunately, because I didn't know that you could actually save files, because otherwise I would have tried to restore that. What happened was, you do have trolls that will come and they start flashing stuff. And if they flash, on YouTube, YouTube will pretty much delete your whole entire channel.
Got you.
Right.
And if there's any nudity or
right, yeah. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, there was showing off the sausage, you know what I mean? So, and it was showing the buns, the hot dog buns too, though.
You know what? Shame on you for that. Whoever tried to ruin that. Shame on you, you nasty.
Right. But hey, it's also good. Knowledge relationship still stands strong, right? And shouts again to Mr. Best, man, because he makes sure he takes care of the best that he can, man, for his teammates and all that. So.
And he's also in charge of the talent showcase that we have coming up. We have a talent showcase. If you're a rapper, artist, if you want to perform any art, hit us up, hit these guys up. They'll let you know, or hit me up on my Hood Sex Marijuana. We'll get you on.
All right, cool. So with that being said, we are out, everyone. Thank you.
Just a little shout. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you do smoke, make sure that you're talking to the doctor all the time to get your health checked out.
True.
Good night.
I mean, if you guys do smoke some organic weed or
whatever. Or, just smoke with Motherhood Sex Marijuana. We got you.
And for that, we are out. Get your minds right.
knowledge in relationships.